Okay, how's everybody doing this evening? Actually, what I just showed you was a restaurant that's opened here in Carlsbad. One that's very popular is called the Vigilucci's, and it's been closed through most of the pandemic, so it's nice to see Vigilucci's open again because it's a popular restaurant and people enjoy going there. So anyway, I want to talk a little bit tonight about the digital dollar, and then I also want to talk a little bit more about our challenge token. So I think like the digital dollar, which we know is coming, basically because Brian Brooks, who's the comptroller of the currency, I've talked about this a lot. I don't think people really understand how big a deal this is going to be, how this is going to change our whole monetary system, our whole monetary structure. And it gets back to the idea of what is money. And I've heard that question asked to a lot of people. And my favorite answer to what is money is, I think, Vitalik Buterin from Ethereum, when he says money is basically just a meme, which is it's just like something that's like just a meme, which is just duplicatable and it has value if you find it interesting, but not if you don't. So and I will take that a little bit further tonight and talk about what I think money is. For a long time, especially during the time I was growing up, money was, or still is, very important as far as metals are concerned. If you have gold or silver, you were considered to have money, and it was pretty much widely accepted by anybody that that had something that you wanted. You could use gold or silver to purchase or buy anything that you wanted with gold or silver, but it's pretty hard to use. How do you scrape off a little bit of gold or a little bit of silver from a gold bar and then be able to give it to somebody? I mean, and then the other thing that's really hard about it is storage. If you're storing it someplace, it's easily stolen, it's easily lost, stuff like that. So the storage of something, and then of course the transferability of it, and then of course just the way you are able to give it out. How do you give it out? How do you have to weigh it and all kinds of stuff? So it's not very, it's not very, it doesn't work very well as money in a digital society, digital world that we're in. And when you really think about something like gold or silver or any precious metals or even any commodity, if somebody were to take you and drop you off someplace in the world, let's say just, in the desert all by yourself, and they gave you 10 gold bars, they wouldn't be of much value to you. Because you can't eat gold, you can't drink gold, you can't use it as a shelter. There's really pretty much nothing you can do with it. So if you were just out in the middle of nowhere and you had nobody around you, the gold would be pretty valueless. It's not really something that is something that's going to give you a substance, an existence, something that's going to make you so you can live longer. It's just, in fact, if anything, it probably would be a burden if you were out in the middle of nowhere, because you'd have to carry it around, and it has absolutely no value. The only way it has any value if it's within a community, and people are willing to accept it as value for goods and services that they're willing to give you for the gold or silver that you have. So if somebody were to come upon you, you're out in a desert and you're hungry, thirsty, need a place to live, and they had supplies, and they were saying, yeah, we're willing to give you supplies for the gold and silver, then that would mean gold and silver was valuable. But outside of that, it has no value because you really can't do anything with it. It's just a metal. So I've never looked at gold and silver, even though I've owned both gold and silver, as much of a value. It didn't have a good value because it was hard to transfer, and obviously you just can't live on it. You have to be able to exchange it for things that you can live on. So I never really looked at gold and silver as a good value. And the only reason that the US dollar has value right now is because people believe in it. There is a community around the dollar. I mean, there's a worldwide community around it. I mean, of people that believe that the dollar has value because the U.S. is a large economy. It consumes a lot of goods, a lot of services. I mean, a lot of things are new ideas are developed here in the United States, and so people can, consider the United States dollar valuable. So it's like the community is what's valuable, not necessarily the means of exchange, but the community is what's valuable. So when we have a digital dollar, which I think is coming here really, really soon, it's going to be able to be transferable much easier, and I think it's going to be able to get into people's hands that need it. I think one of the problems with going on in the community today, or in the world today, is the fact that we have dollars, The dollars are being massively reproduced and given out, but they don't get to the right people because, think about this. I mean, if you were the Federal Reserve System, and I always kind of grew up thinking the Federal Reserve System were bad guys. It was an evil institution. It was a world bankers, and they were kind of bad people. But I remember one time I listened to Mike Novogratz, and he had a channel. I mean, he was being interviewed one time, and Novogratz said while he was doing business, they said Bernanke was a criminal, and Bernanke should be arrested and thrown in jail. But Novogratz said, "Hey, look, I know that guy. He was my professor at Princeton. He's a patriot. He's an American. He always considers, American values and the Constitution, and he's a patriot. He's a true patriot. He's not a criminal, and he shouldn't be thrown in jail." And I always thought that was kind of interesting because I had a brief opportunity to meet Mr. Novogratz, Mike Novogratz, up at the hackathon in San Francisco, and I just had a few words with him. I talked with him briefly, mainly about the crypto market and EOS, and I thought the guy was a good guy. I could be wrong, but I thought he was a genuine guy. I really thought he seemed like a good person, and he seemed like a humble guy, even though he's worth billions of dollars, and he seemed like a guy that was sincere. So when I hear Novogratz talk about the Federal Reserve Chairman Bernanke being a good guy, he probably is a good guy. So, he probably is acting in the best interest of the United States of America. And so are the other Federal Reserve people. But the problem they have is if they create this money, how do they get it to the everyday person that needs it? Because we need the money in order to buy things. We need money in order to buy consumer goods, to buy commodities, to buy all this other stuff. And we don't get it because when the Federal Reserve lowers the interest rates and prints money, it goes to the corporations, mainly. It goes to the banks and the corporations. And if the banks and corporations don't do right by the American people, that's where the problem is. I mean, if the banks and the corporations basically hoard the money and don't create new jobs, or they don't let the money go to the everyday ordinary person, the Main Street people, then we got a problem. That's what's been happening. I mean, it was kind of like the Ronald Reagan idea of trickle-down economics. So Ronald Reagan was give corporations money, and then they will in turn hire more people. So as they hire people, that will stimulate the economy. But that's not what happened. The corporations took the money and hoarded the money, bought back their own stock, outsourced the jobs, sent the jobs to other countries, and then the hedge fund managers came in and strips the assets of the corporation, and they become very wealthy people. So the trickle-down thing never worked, and it never got the money into the hands of the people that really could stimulate the economy. Hopefully with a digital dollar, this will be the first time in history where an entity like the Federal Reserve System will be able to create money and get it in the hands of everybody very easily without any kind of barriers, without any kind of fact you got to have a bank account, with any kind of fact you got to have an address or any of this other kind of stuff. They will literally have a wallet, and you can literally get the money through the wallet, and the money can go right to the people that can stimulate the economy, not to the corporations that are going to hoard it, do whatever they want with it, and then take the money and outsource the jobs and maximize their profits, but never really do anything to help the everyday ordinary person. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not so in favor of these trade wars, because a guy like Trump comes in and he makes it real simple. He just goes, oh, it's China's fault. Well, it's not really China's fault if the corporations took the jobs and sent them to China. You got to blame the U.S. corporations that did that, not the country that received the jobs, but the country that wasn't willing to build the infrastructure within their own borders and grow their employee base. That was the problem, not China, but the problem was the corporations themselves. So hopefully, I think a digital dollar is going to help with a lot of those problems and keep those things from happening. So I think a digital dollar will be a very good thing. I think it'll help the U.S. economy. I think it'll help everyday ordinary people to stimulate the economy and get us out of these rough times that we're in. My thing is, if you really want to stimulate the economy, the best thing, the easiest way to stimulate the economy almost immediately would be to forgive all student loans. Because you have so many kids that went to college that are giving up so much of what they earn that goes back to a student loan. to pay for something that they really didn't receive, which is an opportunity to get a good job because the jobs don't exist. So you paid all these colleges, universities a lot of money, borrowed the money, and now you can't pay it back because there are no jobs. So I think if you give all these people a reset, so you don't have to make that $500, $400, $300 a month student loan payment, you could take that money and spend it, in your community. You would have an instant, immediate benefit for the everyday ordinary person and for the economy as a whole. But they would never do that. But that's what they should do. They should just forgive all student loans. I know a couple of the people. I don't think Biden's in favor. In fact, if anything, I think Biden was one of the guys that made it so you couldn't bankrupt on student loans, which makes it even worse. So he's part of the problem, not part of the solution. I know there's a few other of the candidates that said you could forgive student loans would be a good idea. I think that would be a great idea to forgive all student loans. Put the money back into the people's hands that are paying these student loans and give them the opportunity to have a little extra money and not have it go all to some education that really didn't help them or do them much good. So I think that would be a good way of doing it. So now that we covered that, I want to talk a little bit about our application, the challenge application. And what I really think money is, and that's why I covered the part about money first, is money really is a community. A community willing to exchange with each other within a group of people that trust the medium or trust whatever it is that we're using it to exchange with. That's why I think cryptocurrency, the value of a cryptocurrency is, a value of a community like Challenge, is that we have a community right now that we're building. We have thousands of people in this community, and we hope you join us too, that we've given a lot of crypto to, and that have traded crypto back and forth, and that have gotten crypto for doing very simple tasks. And that community that's growing and building, that's getting comfortable with one another, will one day, coexist, self-exist with, being able to trade within each other because they're familiar with an application, and they trust the application, and they trust the community, and that's what we're building right now. And that's what the most important, valuable part of money is being able to have people that you can trust back and forth, people that were willing to accept your medium of exchange. And that's what we're doing with the challenge application. And there's just a couple things I'd like to explain about the challenge application. One of the things, and even me, I didn't understand this the other day. And of course, if you want to download Challenge, it's Challenge EOS in the Google Play and the App Store. Just go ahead and go Challenge EOS. We are one of the few apps that actually are built and actually running. I know a lot of apps aren't running. A lot of blockchain apps aren't running. You go to Google Play or Android, and they have that on their website. But if you go to try to download the app, you never get it, and nothing happens. And I mean, that's a lot of them. There's a few that are running, but not very many of them. We are actually up and running, and we actually built a community. We have over 1,000 downloads, and we probably have a few thousand people in the community. We got over 1,000 people on our Telegram. So we are building this community of trust and a medium of exchange with the challenge token back and forth with people. So we are doing this. So we're doing this, in this digital world, which is where things are going to, as we see with the digital dollar. But I want to explain the challenge app real quickly for some people that might want to be able to keep score so they know what's going on. So when you create a challenge, there's just a little plus mark up in the upper left-hand corner. And if you create a challenge, you can add an image. When you add that image, right below the image to the left, you'll see three little icons. The first icon will be how many people join the challenge. Like, it'll be join challenge and how many people join the challenge. Maybe 5 or 6 have joined the challenge. I think right now we have Central Park in New York. And I think we have one person who's joined the challenge. And then you have the next one, which is a little trophy, just like a little, looks like a little trophy, a little goblet or glass. And it has like 0 and 2, which means 0 is the amount of people that have completed the challenge, and 2 is the number of people that we're offering the challenge to. So we're giving 2 people the opportunity to win 1,000 tokens if they're in Central Park and they have the challenge application on their phone. They can automatically receive the challenge tokens, 1,000 challenge tokens. Not worth a lot of money right now, but it is convertible into fiat and convertible to EOS because we trade against the EOS token. So all you need to do is be in Central Park, have the application on your phone, and you'll automatically and just accept the tokens. you automatically get the tokens. Now, when you see 0 and 1 or 0 and 2, it means nobody's accepted the tokens. But we're offering it to 2 people, so 2,000 tokens are being offered. So when someone accepts it, and you'll go down through the previous challenges, and you'll see sometimes 4 and 4, 3 and 4, 2 and 4. That means 2 people accepted the reward, got the reward, and we were offering 4. On this one, we're offering, I think, 2 in Central Park, and so far nobody has taken us up on it. And it's funny because certain parts of the world are much more understanding of this than other parts of the world. In the United States, we're less likely to get people to take us up on our challenges. But if we're in Bangladesh, or if we're in Venezuela, or we're in other parts of the world, India, Africa, we have a lot of people take us up on the challenges. So it's just a matter of where you're at in the world and how you value the cryptocurrencies against your own currency, the currency that you're using. So that we're getting some interesting feedback, some interesting data, and that is a value too. To be able to beam down tokens to someone in a particular place and see what kind of response you get. Because we create the challenge and we'll see how many people respond to it. And it's amazing in some of the places like Bangladesh, we'll get every challenge taken up. Every time we offer a challenge, every one of those challenges are accepted and somebody wins those tokens. So when you see 0 and 2, that means nobody has accepted the challenge or accepted the tokens, but there's 2 offered, 2 opportunities to win, 2 1,000 challenge token purses or rewards to win. And then if you go all the way over to the right, after you see the people that joined the challenge, see how many people have won the challenge, now how many challenges we had created, then all the way to the right, you see the timeline, which that tells you how long the challenge is good for and how many hours are left in the challenge. Now that's version 4, and we're working on making this even simpler for version 5. And we're also going to take it and have a spinning wheel, so after you make a challenge and complete a challenge, you'll have an opportunity to spin a wheel, kind of like a roulette wheel, and then you'll be able to have an opportunity to win even more challenge tokens. And we're going to, the top prize is probably going to be 1 million challenge tokens. So, or maybe we'll have a little bit of Bitcoin. Maybe the top prize will be, $50 or $100 worth of Bitcoin. And of course, if you get a $50, $100 worth of Bitcoin right now, who knows what that could be worth? I had, oh my gosh, here at the end of March, I had purchased some Bitcoin and at about 6,500, 64, 6,300, right around, or a little bit over between 65 and 6,000. Now it's pushing 10, and that's 2 months. So in 2 months' time, I made almost, 50, 60, 70% of my money. Where else are you going to do that? I mean, you give somebody $50 of the Bitcoin today. If Bitcoin goes to a few $100,000 or even $1 million, what could that be worth today? And we've given out $50 of the Bitcoin quite a few times. We've given it out for people that create content. We've given it out. So we give out Bitcoin. We'll give out EOS. We give out a lot of EOS. I think last month we gave out, I don't know how many EOS we gave out. We gave out quite a few. So if you get the challenge application on your phone, and like right now with EOS, $2.50, what a time to get involved with EOS. And I did call it that it wasn't going to go down anymore, although it's still only $2.60. It didn't go down below $2.50 after I called that price. So anyway, hopefully it goes up. I think Bitcoin will go up. And of course, anytime you get an opportunity to get crypto and hold it in a wallet, a private wallet, that'd be a great opportunity for you to someday make a payday for that, because I think cryptocurrencies all will start to go up as this market and people start to understand how easy crypto is and how easy it is to move back and forth. For instance, I was at a parking garage today and I tried to pay with a credit card. The guy couldn't take a credit card. He only took cash. And I think the charge for my parking was $10 or $15, and all I had was $5 cash. So I wanted to give the guy $5 and put the rest on my credit card. He wouldn't accept it. So it's like I'm stuck in this parking garage. And the only way I get out of this parking garage is the person behind me, who was very kind, said, "Hey, what do you need?" And I said, "I need $10. And so she gave me $10 so I could pay the attendant to get out of the parking garage. How easy would it have been to go on my phone and just digitally send money to the parking garage without me sitting here and worry about if they'll take plastic, if they take cash, how we're going to do that. So this is going to be the way we're going to transact in the future. It'll be much easier to get money to people, not going to corporations and banks, but individuals, and it'll be much easier to transact. And that's what we're seeing right now. That's that transition we're getting ready to make. with the digital dollar. So anyway, long video, but hopefully somebody will start to understand the direction we're taking, because this is the direction we're taking. It's not when it's going to happen. It's not if it's going to happen. It's going to be when it happens. I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much.